Going to the thrift store. No real objective. I have a few things in mind that, preferably not death. That's the objective. So going through the jackets, can you see? It's a long velvet duster. They've added a new color, so this is not half off, but that's okay. This is literally what I was looking for. Oversized V-neck sweater, comfy, cozy, thick, $8.99. Literally not finding anything on sale, but that's okay. What pisses me off about this one thrift store is that all of their stuff is donated. Like everything is donated. And despite it all being donated, and they're basically paying nothing for stock, they still overcharge ridiculous amounts. Like especially if look, tags are still on it. So here, made by Old Navy, sweater, tag still on, $36.99. Why would you charge almost $20 for a sweater in a thrift store? See, it's like $30. If you're living on a budget, look, $26. It is Ted Baker. There's a lot of Ted Baker stuff here, by the way. What the hell is this? That's like plastic. Can you imagine going to a thrift store, nearly $50 for a neoprene dress? So when you see things like that, you see like the cost of things in a thrift store, you see why so many people are pushed to utilize fast fashion in order to keep themselves clothed. Because otherwise, that $50 for that one item, if you're on a budget, think about the amount that you can get for the amount that you would spend on that one piece, which is used and in a thrift store. That to me is just crazy. Like, so these are things that we would pick up in DIY back in the day, huh?
How much?
It is $4.99.
How the fuck is it in that good condition?
Sometimes people just keep things in their closets like this, but yeah.
Alright, I'll be right back.
Has that very old ass smell. I think these are just kind of beach cover-ups. Beach cover-ups can be really useful. Don't need a lot of imagination here. Could be a dress easily. Same in bodysuit. And we're stuck. So I really like this skirt a lot, but I can't see paying $15 for it. sweaters. Oh, shit. This is a long overdue thrift store haul. The reason it's taken me so long is because there's been a bed bugs outbreak all over the US, and I am not risking taking anything into my house. So they usually bag your stuff up when you purchase it at the thrift store in the bags that they were donated in. So they keep all of those donation bags, which are usually huge leaf bags or garbage bags. So the second I brought it home, it went straight outside and it stayed there until I was pretty much sure nothing could have survived. And then I triple washed absolutely everything. So this was filmed a little while ago. Not this part, but the vlogging portion. It was almost as if fate had stepped in to kind of provide me with a little bit of a reminder, like, hey, you need to make sure that you check items before you put them in your cart, before you touch them, put them in your car, bring them into your house, because as I'm looking, I'm a person who loves the 80s. I see in the distance, not too far, is the very epitome of an 80s dress just poking out. The fabric, the print, everything, the colors. I immediately gravitated toward it because I need to see what this thing looks like. I pull it out and be careful. Always check items before you put them into your cart. So I wanted to talk a little bit about thrift culture and how it's really changed from when I was younger versus now. So what I've noticed is when I was younger, there's still that excitement there. But the reason that there was a lot more excitement when I was younger is because their thrift stores are not nearly as good as they are now, because usually you would find things that were not so great or geared more toward either kind of normie teen or adults, kind of like what my mother would refer to as farty clothes, and that would be anything that would be worn church. Very conservative, but bland and conservative, like something that you would find in the color of like the DMV or something like that. It's I tend to use that term sometimes when it comes to certain types of clothes that are like really conservative and boring and outdated. I'm like, that's just farty. I get that from my mom. But that being said, that would be like the bulk or majority of the things that you would find in these thrift stores. So it's why we tended to gravitate more toward your nightwear, slips, anything that's worn under things, lingerie. That was like your goth staples. And sometimes you were lucky to find a really cool vintage dress in black, because a lot of times when you found vintage, it was usually in these crazy colors that you would have to dye. And the dyes back then were a little bit tricky. So sometimes it would go your way and other times it would turn some color that doesn't even exist and you just invented right there on the spot, but unwearable. So the thing about that was you had the excitement of looking, and when you did find something, it was great, but the prices were also incredibly cheap. Like, it was the epitome of thrift store. So that was around the time that I really became responsible and capable of dressing myself and purchasing my own clothes. And being a teenager, having a job, it meant that any big purchases had to be like really saved for. But the thrift store kind of saved my ass because, like I said, with the whole slips and nightgowns and things, there were a lot of thrift stores, especially the church ones, where you could fill a bag for 50 cents. And that is just not something that you would find nowadays, because nowadays you will find a lot more that will probably get you to buy at least, and like for myself, if I go to the thrift store, I'm going to get like at least 2 or 3 pieces. I will find things that I really like. However, now it's extortionate comparatively, because what they're charging now in thrift stores are essentially the same. It's like on par with what you would get if you bought it brand new from any other store. This leads me to something very, very important. So if you're going to donate something and it has the tag still attached with the price on it, rip it off. Rip it off, because what's going to end up happening, they're going to mark it up based on those tags. And you're going to rob somebody that is really on a budget and relies on thrift stores to physically clothe themselves. you're going to kind of cheat them out of the experience of being able to purchase that item, because they do very much take advantage nowadays. Now, there are some stores that are affiliated with charities who are a little bit more reasonable, but the main chain that I go to, and the reason I go is because they have they have way better stuff, is a store called Island Thrift. And Island Thrift is a chain of thrift stores around Long Island. It started with one, I think it was in Selden, which is way out on like eastern Long Island. And then they just dotted around everywhere. And their prices used to be pretty fair. They were reasonable, and it was thrift store prices. And this was around the early to mid 2000, I would say like between 2000 and 2006. But as the years went on, their prices went up and up and up, because the thing about Island Thrift is they're not associated with any charity. They pocket everything. It's owned by one person. They pocket all the money, and all of their stock are purely donations. So they pretty much rely on the fact that there are a lot of people who do these crazy spring cleanings, or they're cleaning out a house, and rather than throw them away, they just pile them in bags and they just dump it on the doorstep or the side of one of their buildings, and it's free stock for them. So they're not paying anything for stock. Everything you see in their store is purely things that people dumped. And the only kind of overhead they have is they're going to be paying rent, keeping the lights on, and paying the employees. And if you ever see what they pay their employees, it's like the bare minimum wage. They're making bank. So don't give them any more reason. They've increased their prices to crazy extortionate amounts. I was really upset when I was in there just looking at a lot of these prices. So if you can, rip the tags off. Make sure you rip them off, because I've picked things up that had, say, a tag on it that was like $28.99, and their price would be $28.99. So they're going to charge you the same, if not more. There was one occasion, there was an H&M dress where they were actually charging more than the label said, because there was a tag still attached. But if they're feeling a little bit charitable, they will knock off $1 for you. So instead of 28, you're paying 27. But imagine paying $27 for, say, one shirt or one dress or one pair of trousers in a thrift store. And that's the reason why people will tend to kind of defer to fast fashion, because it just makes no sense for them to do it. And it really, really sucks. But a lot of it has to do with resale culture, because there's a lot of resellers. You go through those stores and they know that people are going to buy it regardless of the price, because the resellers are going to come in, fill their carts, and they're going to sell it for more anyway. And these are just kind of more factors that take away the joy and the majesty that is the treasure hunt of the thrift store. And I used to go crazy for it. Like, I would crave that. Whenever my mother would be like, hey, you want to go to the thrift store? I would be in the car in seconds. I'd have no shoes on. They'd be in my hand. I'd be like, let's go. Because it was the coolest thing. It was the best fun, because you get to like pick through everything. You get to really look through all the racks. And the majority of what I had gotten back then that I really incorporated into my wardrobe and really making things work as a goth teen on a serious budget: slips, nightgowns. They always had loads of cameos and rosary beads. So I would get cameos, rosary beads, slips, nighties, and I would also get all the tights that they had. So whenever they had tights, I would just like kind of rip them up and layer them. So it was a really good way to kind of individualize your whole look and your whole aesthetic. And that is something also very important to myself, being very much fashionably inclined. I've always loved fashion. I've always loved fashion design. And when I was younger, I didn't have the best clothes because my family didn't really have a lot of money. And I was kind of a shabby, scruffy little kid. And as I got older and I was more capable of being in control of what I look like, I became more and more fashion centered, to where I wanted to learn how to sew, to kind of make my own things, to where I really wanted to really hand pick everything just meticulously, because I was capable of kind of dressing myself, and I was very much into having that be part of my identity. And my fashion really was part of my identity, because I didn't like looking like everybody else, and I always had kind of a different aesthetic. I remember when I lived in Florida, I was like 12. And this is around the time of, I don't know if you remember Club MTV. So I used to watch Club MTV and I was obsessed with the fashion. So I would like things like that, but living in rural Florida, it's not exactly something people see very often. So I used to go to Contempo Casuals. I would shop the sale rack. I would save my birthday money. And I remember I got this really amazing like wrap jacket thing. It was almost cape-like. And it's a little bit mature for, I would say, a 12-year-old, but I had to have it. And I remember one of the kids in school said, "Oh my God, are you in a play?" Like dead serious. They thought I was Robin Hood. "Are you in a play? Is it Robin Hood?" And then all the other kids are like, "Yeah, Robin Hood." I'm like, no. But just to give you an idea, this was me when I was 12. So I was always very, very fashion centered ever since I was able to kind of have some sort of autonomy over my appearance. So thrift stores were always amazing for that. But now with the internet, it's freaking awesome because I can kind of go and look and find anything. But when it came to being in the 90s, good luck. It really was luck, and it was very difficult for me to find the things that I was looking for. But when I did, I never let anybody touch it, and I had the most crazy assortment of slips. So the things from my most recent kind of trip, I was definitely into. I was excited about, but once I saw the price, I was like, I'm not that excited. But it's something that I'm seeing now a lot, and I'm curious to know your experiences when you go into the thrift stores. Are you noticing that there's been a lot of inflation when it comes to the prices in thrift stores? Because I was heavily discouraged. There were things that I liked and I put them down. Because even now, my husband and I were trying to save to buy a house, and we've had a little bit of a financial bump in the road, to where we've unfortunately had to really become really, really frugal because we're kind of put in a bad situation. I might talk about that later, but we're put in a very bad situation. So now when it comes to things like that, I have to be very cognizant of purchases. And we've kind of like been a little bit more frugal in the sense that we've been taking kitchen measures, which are really fun. Like rather than buying bread, we're making bread at home, which is way better anyway. I unfortunately have not been able to master gluten-free loaves of bread, but I am really good at making gluten-free focaccia. So I will just keep making focaccia until I figure out how to make like a regular gluten-free loaf that doesn't suck. But I want to get to showing you all of these pieces. I just remember that one of them is in my bedroom, but the rest of them are out here. So let me go grab them for you. Okay. Oh! These are a little bit heavy. I might gonna change tactic. Gonna be easier. So this is the taffeta dress that I did not want to risk washing in the tub because I was terrified as to what would happen to it. But it's 1950s, and I left the tag still on this one. The others I had to take off because I needed to wash them. But this one was $14.99. Strapless. I don't know if it's gonna fit me. And of course the telltale sign of an authentic 1950s dress. Got the metal zipper. These things are violent. This one is a tunic and or dress from H&M. I thought it was really versatile, as in you can wear it in a spa environment, so it would work for work, but you could also wear this with some really interesting accessories, some tights, and you can goth it up as well. So I like things that have multi-purpose. If I could just kind of take it from work and then wear it out elsewhere, bonus. This one is from Zara, and it's actually a dress I know very well because I've been seeing it around and I wanted to get it, but I am a little bit too frugal to pay full price for it, and I've even been seeing it on Poshmark, and I've been liking every single one that I see, hoping that it will come down to a reasonable price. It still had the tags attached. As you can see, it has this little plastic guy on it, but I had to take it off so that I could wash it. Now, it's not wrinkled, it's a crinkle material. The silhouette is very straight, it's not fitted in any way, and it's good for accessories. If I were to define my style, it would kind of, I don't know if you would call it like dark goth vampiric bohemian. I wouldn't even know what I would call it, but I know that I've always loved the Edwardian fit. I've loved the kind of 1920s deco look as well. I like things that are oversized and kind of ill-fitting. Never really been a fan of things that were form-fitting ever since I was younger, but this kind of style or that look is a little bit too mature and doesn't really look right on a teenager. So I tended to dress a little bit more on the kind of romantic as well as death rock side. So I kind of straddled both. But as I got older, I can kind of wear that look now. And when I look at myself in the mirror, I laugh because I think of this scene. Overall, given what it retails for, it was not expensive, especially the fact that it was new with tags. This one might be a little bit difficult to show you. When I washed it, I made a mess of the tassels, and I've been basically trying to detangle them ever since. Still a work in progress. It's a really beautiful shawl. Can't tell if you can see it very well at the moment. It's just a really beautiful shawl that I thought would look nice over like a vintage slip or a satin slip, and a lot of drapey, long kind of jewelry, maybe a lot of rosary beads and silver and things like that. So this one I'm going to show you first. So all of you vintage veterans, all of you goths that have been thrifting since the 80s, since the 90s, you know this and you know this well. And if you saw it, you thought, wait a minute, where's the other part? Because everyone knows that these are part of a two-piece set. This is the robe part, but it always goes over a long nightgown. There's going to be a long nightgown that's probably ornate in the bust and has the same billowy fabric that goes with it. So I looked all over the thrift store, and I guess maybe something had happened to it, but sadly, alas, she was on her own. So I have been looking on eBay trying to find a fellow to get the band back together in the same color, similar aesthetic, so that I can kind of complete this set. So what we would do with these, rarely would we ever keep them the color that they are. So normally if you look at it as it is, it doesn't really look like much because of the color, but imagine it in black. Imagine it maybe trimmed in red lace, because this is a DIY piece. A lot of you who are new to nightwear as goth clothing, it's something that we really gravitated towards because of the look, where we're able to kind of see things not for what they were, but for the potential, like what they could be. And the color would always make it very difficult, because you're looking at something that's like pea green, you're looking at something that's terracotta, you're looking at something that is like the lemon meringue pie. It's very difficult to visualize what it can be. But if you would look at it in structure, you would see that you're kind of looking at something that is like very Bride of Dracula, and in like epitome of Bride of Dracula. All it needs is a new color. So what we would do is we would take it home, and that thing would be in black dye faster than you can say Lucretia, my reflection. Oftentimes you would see people kind of tatter the bottom or trim it in a different color lace. Say they would trim it in like a blood red lace, or even just keep it black. They often went through the DIY process, and when they did, they even looked 10 times better. And I know it could probably be a little bit bizarre to think of, or difficult to kind of conceptualize wearing nightwear or nightgowns into a goth club, but it really did work. So that is one of the pieces that I'm looking for its fellow, so I can get the band back together. I'm going to dye it, and I want to show you exactly what that whole process would look like and the difference. So that is another piece. Is just your simple fluffy v-neck sweater. You cannot go wrong with these. I'm obsessed with big oversized comfy sweaters. I'll wear them with leggings, I'll wear them with tights and boots, but it's made by Jones & Co. and it's nice and soft, which is important. I'm glad I'm finally showing this to you because I can finally wear it out. Why are all sweaters acrylic? And finally, check this out. all in all, it's not a bad haul. This dress, actually the one that I'm wearing right now, is a dress that I got on Poshmark, and I want to just, I'm giving away my secrets, and not gonna lie, I'm a little bit wary because this is where I get a lot of my clothes, but here it is. This dress I paid $31 for, and the thing about this one, it's from Zara, and it's part of their more higher end collection. Still has the tags attached. But I got it for $31 on Poshmark. I just want to see the price. Of course they ripped the price tag off. So a little quirk about me is when I have something that is brand new with the tags on, I will leave those tags on until I give it like a proper wear. Like this is the first time I'm wearing it. I'm wearing it for a video, but until I wear this outside the house for the very first time, like I have an event to wear it to, I will leave these tags on. So I have so many things in my closet with the tags still attached. And just by kind of first glance, you would think that I have a problem. But my problem is that I can't quit a deal. I love fashion, and I love things that I know that aren't going to date. So for example, a V-neck line, classic look. I mean, we're going back to Elvira right now. These are looks that to me will never date. So it's a very classic kind of silhouette. So to me, $31 on a dress that was originally way more. I just can't remember what it was on their website. Why would you wash the tag? Like you could see, she like went all aggro on it. Oh, I can find out how much this was actually. There's a website, I don't know if you find this helpful, but there's a website where you can put like either the barcode or the style number. I know that, what is the name? Victoria's Secret. I know that Victoria's Secret does. Speaking of which, there is one more thing that I got. I also got this to dye it. I was just really loving the whole lace work on it. Even the back. See? Look in the back. It has like, there's going to be a style number. It says like RN number, CA number, ID number. There are websites that you can kind of put this into and find all the info about it, and they'll even find like the old page where it was listed, and you can get more info and more details about it. And I know that it does that with a lot of different brands. But this one, we're not going to keep this the mauve color that it is. It's going to definitely go black. So that is the extent of my haul. That is everything that I got. But so that completes the haul. But yeah, when it comes to things, I'll keep the tags on them. And it's just sort of a weird old habit that I've always had. I'll keep the tags on until I'm ready to give it its first proper kind of wear, its first debut. And since I'm not actually leaving the house right now, I'm waiting. I think I might wear this on my anniversary. I want to get to trying these on and get an idea of what they look like because I haven't even seen them on. I haven't tried them on. I don't know if I'm going to try the lilac kind of chiffon robe, but we'll see. It might be fun to kind of like throw that in and see if I can make that work for anything. But I want to give it a good try and show you what everything looks like. And there is hope if you're feeling hopeless in the thrifting department, hoping if they get a little bit of a shock by way of people not spending that money, maybe they will come to their senses and bring things down. Fingers crossed. We can hope, right? We can always hope. But with that said, I want to try everything on, see what it looks like. I just want to put that cozy sweater on and just like chill.